Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is MTG Strategist bringing you Core 2019 Brew Chunks. These are the black cards from Core 2019 that I personally want to get started brewing with because they have some interesting stuff about them. So without any ado, let's jump right in. The first card I want to talk about is Fell Spectre. It's a flying 1/3 for 3 and a black. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent discards a card. And then whenever an opponent discards a card, that player loses 2 life. Now, there are other cards that have this effect currently in Standard. I just want to pile them on top of one another. And then I like to use a kind of an unsummon effect to make them scoop stuff off the battlefield and then drop it into the graveyard, causing them to discard things and lose life. Next one is Fraying Omnipotence, 3/2 black, sorcery. Each player loses half their life and then discards half the cards in their hand and then sacrifices half the creatures they control, and you round up each time. This is just a weird card. We have other cards out there that have this type of effect as well. Losing 1/3 of your life, losing half your life, or returning your life to half of its original total. So I like the idea of playing with those numbers to see if you can get the math to work to really beat them down. So I'm looking forward to this one. Next we have Izareth the Awakener. It's a Death Touch, 3/3, 1 and 2 black. And whenever it attacks, you pay X. And when you do, you return target creature with converted mana cost X from your graveyard to the battlefield with a corpse counter on it. And if that creature would leave the battlefield, you exile it instead. So this is a beautiful take advantage of your graveyard card. I can't wait to play this because I wanna build this deck into like smaller, use smaller creatures that just come back and annoy the heck out of your opponent. So looking forward to this. This is a great card to brew with. Liliana's Contract, 3 and 2 black. Enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you draw 4 cards and you lose 4 life. But the cool part is at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 4 or more demons with different names, you win the game. So that alone is enough to get my attention. I think someone brought up using Arcane Adaptation with it on turn 3, which can change creatures to whatever type you want. And so a great idea. I love it. And so this one, I'm really excited to get this one to work. I've got to figure out a way to make it a turn 6 win. All right, so let's talk about Liliana Untouched by Death. And with Liliana, I want to jump from Liliana directly into zombies. So Liliana is, you put the top 3 cards of your library into the graveyard. This is for +1. If at least one of them is a zombie and each opponent loses 2 life, you gain 2 life. And then, in other words, target creature gets -X/-X until in a turn where X is the number of zombies you control, and you may cast zombie cards from your graveyard this turn as the ultimate. But it's not really an ultimate because you can trigger it immediately, or you can bring her in, mill out cards, they lose life, you gain life if some zombies go in there, and then the next turn you can -3 her and then cast those cards directly out of your graveyard. This is a perfect zombie mistress, I would say. But a zombie planeswalker, it's incredible. I can't wait to get this thing on the field. Core 19 has many zombie cards. You probably know there's a Death Baron, Diregraph Ghoul. Diregraph Ghoul it's subtle, but it's a 2/2 for 1, enters the battlefield tapped. That thing is destined to come back over and over again. Such a cheap cost for a 2/2. Graveyard Marshal is 2 black, 3/2. Open the Graves, which is an enchantment, and whenever a non-token creature you control dies, create a 2/2 black zombie. So as your zombies die, they create 2/2 black zombies, and then Liliana can trigger that -3, and you can cast them from your graveyard for them to die again and create more zombies. So I can't wait for these synergies to build decks that exploit these synergies. I also have Phylactery Lich. I think that's how you say it. It's 3 black for an indestructible zombie. It enters the battlefield. Put a Phylactery counter on an artifact you control, and when you control no permanents with Phylactery counters on them, sacrifice Phylactery Lich. So 5/5 zombie with indestructible for 3. With the graveyard bouncing back and forth, I think this can be potentially a monster in the zombie tribe. The devastating attack ability on turn 4, getting it out there, it's incredible, especially with something like Liliana out there with it to keep it coming back to the battlefield. I mean, there is the hitch of having a artifact on the battlefield to attach a counter to, but I don't think that's a big deal in this case. And also there's Rise from the Grave. That's a sorcery for 4 and 1. Put a target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. That creature is a black zombie in addition to other types. Rise from the Grave is a reprint. It was one of my favorite cards to use because you can snatch creatures out of your opponent's graveyard and put them on the battlefield for yourself. And Stitcher's Supplier, it's a 1/1 for 1, and when it enters the battlefield or dies, put the top 3 cards of your library in the graveyard. This is a to jumpstart your graveyard action. So Stitcher's Supplier, fantastic for the zombie tribe. And there's one final card I want to talk about. Plague Mare. Now, Plague Mare is 1 and 2 black. It's a 2/2 horse, can't be blocked by white creatures, and when it enters the battlefield, creatures your opponent control get -1/-1 till end of turn. That alone is a fantastic ability, but you will hear this over and over from me. The horse tribe. The horse tribe will rise. And you know why it will rise? Because I will make it rise. I will build a 5-color horse tribal deck of indestructible 5-color horses. I guarantee it. It will happen. I will make it happen. So look for that. But thank you for joining me. That was the Core 2019 black cards of interest for myself that I'm interested in brewing with. I'm interested in your remarks. Please let me know. This is MTG Strategist, and let's make the magic happen.